Yes, yes, yes. What is up, MCR family? I would say another weekly edition of the show, but I had like the plague for the last month, so we haven't done a show in about a month. But we're back. Terence Crawford suing Bob Arum in Top Rank. Somewhere Liam is in the chat just crying. I love it. DAZN maybe buying BT Sports in the UK. Obviously, that's a massive, massive acquisition. I think it was over $800 million is the alleged price of that buyout. A lot to get into on today's show. A lot of fights we missed, though not some big ones. It's going to be a fun one. Obviously, back with the one and only Gary in Dallas. Gary, how are you, man?
It's good to be back. I mean, we haven't been on in almost a month.
Yeah.
But there's nothing there. It was really like, did I miss any fights? The heavyweight fight that we all watched, streamed instead of purchased because no one bought that. Dillian White, the Chisora fight.
I forgot that was pay-per-view.
I mean, the Christmas card, which was forgettable. I mean, there was really this and we did a show leading up to the 18th, which had the Zordo Ramirez fight, which was good, but it's Zordo Ramirez and Udell Johnson. It's like that's not that big of a deal. David Morrell blew out Amontes Fox. It's not that big of a deal. And then you had the heavyweight with Parker one again. Like that was it. Like there's really been nothing. And then last week there was a showbox fight with that guy Nunez from the Dominican Republic, who they call Twist and Shout. Like that guy's good, but like he's fighting on showbox against nobodies. I'm not saying he's bad. He's not. But I'm not. That's not you must watch TV. That's not appointment television. That's all I'm saying. And that's really been it. Like, have I missed any fights? Not really.
Hey, but we're about to see Terence Crawford versus Bob Arum. I'm excited, Gary.
This is going to be good. This is.
Lord Jacob, we're moving at a Gary Russell-like pace with the shows as of late. Yes, that is true.
Matt was sick. I had a friend who took an at-home rapid COVID test. Said negative. He had the same thing you did. He just had something for weeks. He couldn't kick. He went to the doctor because he just like you. He just couldn't kick it, and he had COVID.
Yeah, I never ended up getting tested.
I thought you took. Okay.
No. I did buy at-home tests, but like they came in like a few days ago. And it took that long for Amazon.
Whatever. Yeah.
It shit happens. But yeah, my son.
I don't think the at-home rapid tests work anyway, right? It's like the $1 pregnancy test. Like if it says positive, you're positive. If it says negative, it might just be test again in a couple minutes. Like I don't really think they work. Like I don't think they're like. I think we need something better.
Well, obviously, the efficiency is like way lower than like a PCR test, or even like a rapid test you get from a doctor, of course. But my son was also sick, and he had what's called CROUP, CROUP. It's like a child upper respiratory infection.
Okay.
And he's like going through it, man. He had to get steroids and everything like that.
Oh, poor kid.
Yeah.
Is he okay now?
Yeah, it still has a massive cough, way worse than I did, and I had a cough from fucking Hades. It was awful.
Has he been with you, or has he been with
both? Both.
Okay.
Both. Yeah. And then my girlfriend got sick. Her friend got sick. My boss was sick. My boss got tested. He was negative. Because he was in Vegas, he was able to get tested. And my girlfriend's friend got tested and was negative. And the doctor for her said it was strep throat. So I don't know what I had. It might have been COVID. It was horrendous. Like I was down and out for a solid 3 weeks. And this last week, I still have a cough. Like I still have a brutal cough sometimes.
You can still hear it in your voice a little bit. You sound a little under the weather.
I'm sorry, Gary. I'll try to
don't apologize to me.
It's the flu game. I'm MJ right here, okay?
It is the flu game. The flu game was the poison pizza game. They poisoned his pizza in Utah. I think Utah is going to win the NBA Finals this year. What do you guys think? Do you think Utah gets a chip this year? I think so. You want to talk about that Knicks trade with the Hawks?
Gary. What are you doing?
There's not we haven't been on a month, and there's not a lot of boxing to talk about. So I figured we're talking about. Cam Reddish got traded
Nigel in the
because of
chat saying you should get tested, man. I definitely should. It was very hard to get tested until like maybe the last few days. There's been more opportunities to get rapid tests. But for the last like 3 weeks, there's been 0 ways to get an appointment for a rapid test in LA County. And the entire LA County, which is like by itself has a bigger population than like 30 something states, had no at-home tests in like CVS or Walgreens. They were out. They were completely out. So you couldn't even get a rapid test. The idea of like getting tested and then waiting a week or 2 to get results, like I kept thinking to myself, well, fuck, I'm gonna get over it in the next few days. And it just kept going and kept going. And it was horrendous. It was one of the worst like illnesses I've had, to be honest. It was really bad. There was whole days I wanted just to lay in bed and do nothing. And in the last, I think I was like 2.5 weeks in, and then I had to work. So I had to go back to work while I'm sick. So that was not fun. Do not recommend it. But digressing, Gary, how's your break from the show been the last month? You been good? Not dying?
I mean, we had the holidays, right? I went to the Zona Ramirez fight, which was in San Antonio. And then I've done nothing. Like there hasn't been a lot of boxing on, so I watched a lot of NBA.
Fuck, Frank in the chat over on Twitch is saying, prayers, bro. I've had COVID for the last 2 weeks.
Prayers for you, Frank. Where you at? Where's Frank at? Where are you physically?
I don't know. Frank, where are you at? Location-wise.
Real Niger's in the chat. What up, Real Niger?
Yeah, an OG.
Oh, an OG. Isn't she in England?
Yes.
What's hot? Good morning, or whatever. Good middle of the night to you. Yeah.
Oh, Frank,
you work late, or what? What are you doing up, Niger?
God knows what she's doing. Crazy lady. Frank in the chat saying he's from the Inland Empire out in by Los Angeles and Riverside. Shout out to you, Frank. Hit me up sometime, Frank. Hit me up on social media. You're a local guy, because you follow my political shit too. Hit me up. Now you're saying it's 3 a.m. I can't sleep. Yeah, damn.
Listen to the show a little while longer.
Fuck, man. Gary, let's talk about some boxing because I feel vindicated. Gary.
Okay.
Now that Terence Crawford is suing Bob Arum for breach of contract, racism, and some other things, looking for a $10 million suit, I can't help but feel, especially with all the clips popping up of Bob Arum saying, "Hey, he won the Pacquiao fight, but I fucking dead that shit." Like, I feel like we can now say safely, because Crawford's saying it. It's no longer like us speculating. Crawford saying it, that Bob Arum has undermined Terence Crawford's career in significant points. And Crawford could be in an entirely different position if Top Rank as a company wasn't backwards in its mentality in a lot of ways, and a lot of personnel there. I can speak from personal experience. And the fact that they undermined their biggest star. Like, Crawford could be in an entirely different stratosphere. He could be selling 300,000 pay-per-views like Spence if he was pushed properly. Imagine if he got the Pacquiao fight. 2016, 17, 18, when they were really asking for it. And Bob Arum is on record now saying that he did that shit, that he squashed it. He squashed the negotiations. He personally did that. I feel like, people like Liam, who's in the chat, who says he's never going to listen to our show again, always complaining about how, PBC is going underwater and we don't report properly and we're PBC stands, and that Crawford hasn't been allowed to fight the PBC guys due to Heyman. I feel like we can now say to those people, fuck off. Crawford himself is saying this. Crawford himself is going to the point of suing Top Rank and Bob Arum because of them undermining his career on multiple levels. But Gary, your first thoughts, your analysis of the situation.
First of all, Liam, Nigel, Real Nigel, we appreciate every listener we have. You guys could be listening to anything in the world you choose to show. We appreciate it. We do. For real. As far as the Terence Crawford situation, he's got Brian Friedman on the case. That means the case has merit. The case has merit because like it's obviously got truth to it. Now, again, the facts are going to come out over time. There'll be a discovery phase. The facts will come out. We'll see what the facts are. But like, it's just like, it seems true, right? Like, I don't, Top Rank's going to have $1 million lawyers too. They're not going to take this line down.
Mm-hmm.
The best thing they got for them is Terence Crawford voluntarily resigned with us. So why would you resign with us if I was holding your career down? That's going to be their argument. Am I right?
Yeah.
So again, let the facts come out. Look, does it look? It's not allegedly. Bob Arum said he killed the Pacquiao. I got nothing. Like you got that on record, right? It's been viewed by millions of people. I don't know, at least 100,000, right? But it's there for the world to see.
Yes.
You got Bob Arum, who has a track record of making some strange comments, right? Like all of this adds up to, I think Terence Crawford's case has merit. Now it depends. This is a civil rights lawsuit, right? This goes to the Office of Civil Rights, so it's a federal case.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, so is this in Vegas or is it in California? Is it in Nevada or California? Is that the same circuit or is it a different circuit? Well, it would go to the.
It was whatever circuit it is.
Is Nevada? Like I live in Texas. It's a fifth circuit. It's Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi. They call it the most conservative court in the world.
Yeah. I can look it up if you want.
So it's gonna depend on who looks at it. Like, I'm telling you, that case right there would be looked a lot differently in Matt's circuit than it would be in my circuit. In my circuit, it'd be dismissed in like 5 seconds. In Matt's circuit, it's gonna at least go to court and then let it come out as it may. But like if you look at civil rights complaints that go to the Fifth Circuit, they all get dismissed. Like 90% of them. And that's not an overstatement. That's like for real. 80% at least get dismissed, get thrown out.
Yeah, it's all in the Ninth Circuit.
Ninth Circuit, yeah.
Yep. Which covers a lot: Alaska, Arizona, California, Hawaii, Idaho, Montana, Nevada, Oregon, and Washington.
Gotta be. See, like the circuits should have something in common, kind of, right? Like you have.
It's just kind of the West Coast.
It's in the entire West. It seems like it was made like in 1849 when no one lived out there, right? It's like I wanted to make all of that land one circuit.
Yeah, that's a lot of population too. A lot of territory.
That's a lot of territory, man.
Jesus Christ. People in the chat saying that they don't think that Crawford has a case, that he's exaggerated the claims. I'll put it this way. Okay, I don't know exactly what evidence Crawford is going to bring into this because there could be a lot behind the scenes that Crawford has sort of in his clip that he could shoot out there that I don't know about. I can safely say though that it is the worst kept secret in boxing that Top Rank is racist. That Top Rank promotes white and Latino fighters differently than black fighters. Like it is the worst kept secret in boxing. I work with promoters. I work in the industry. It's something that's talked about quite commonly. So the idea that like Crawford doesn't have a case, this doesn't have merit, like racism isn't a factor here. I think you're just like if people are saying that, you have to ignore everyone in the industry that's going, no, it is an issue. It's just hard to fucking catch Arum in this shit. It's hard to catch Top Rank in this shit. They're smart.
Again, and that's what I'm saying. I'm not, comparing this to Colin Kaepernick, right? But Colin Kaepernick was kept out of the NFL, right? And in order to get his collusion case, he had to have Goodell, the commissioner, in contact with all 32 owners. Right? So like, he can't win this, right? Because like, there's just some teams that the Patriots at the time, the Packers, they just don't have an interest in Colin Kaepernick because they have a star quarterback, right? So if that's the case, it's only 30 or 32. There's no collusion, right? It had to be all 32. That means he'd have to send out an blast email to every owner saying, don't talk to Colin Kaepernick. So I was like, this is going to get dismissed because they're just not going to have it. And then the NFL settles for $40 million. Like, how dumb are you? Right? Like the law says it has to be every owner in the NFL. So every owner except the Patriots, except for Robert Kraft, means no collusion because it wasn't every one. So and they settled for $40 million. So that means Kaepernick had the goods on him. That he actually was colluded with every owner in the NFL to keep him out of the league. That means he had it, right? Because why else would you settle for? You didn't settle for $100,000, right? It was saying, okay, it's just lawyer fees. I'll just settle.
Yep.
You settled for $40 million. That means you were afraid you were going to lose more. So I don't know. Like Brian Friedman has represented athletes for decades, right?
Yeah.
He's like one of the premier lawyers for athletes. If he picked up this case, I'm not saying Crawford's going to win this case. I'm saying the case has merit. Let the facts come out as they may. This is not a frivolous thing that's going to get dismissed. It will probably get settled because Top Rank doesn't want it out there. But the case has merit. My guess is it gets settled out of court because they're going to have the goods, and Top Rank doesn't want that going public. So part of the settlement is you put the kibosh on that immediately. That doesn't see the light of day, or you don't get a dime.
Exactly. That's how it's going to happen. And again, I don't know what evidence is going to be presented. I don't know what evidence Top Rank has. Terrence has. But the idea that this doesn't have, like, this topic isn't serious, I think, is kind of been put out there by certain people. That this situation can kind of just get hush-hush and we can move along. That Terence Crawford is just being ridiculous here. And I think that's kind of sad that, like, there's certain people in the media, certain people that are fans that look at the situation, look at the long history of black fighters and how they've talked about Top Rank, and go, you know what, Terence Crawford's being ridiculous here. Like, he just re-signed with them, like, that doesn't make sense. I think people need to understand also that a lot of boxers get with managers that don't have their best interests at heart. That's a very common and unfortunate situation that happens in the sport. We have a lot of fighters that come from impoverished neighborhoods, that fighting is their way out, and they get big contracts when they're 18, 19, 20, 21. Okay? And the amount of exploitation in the industry is very high from the grassroots level all the way up. It's built on it. Okay. And unfortunately, as somebody that is in the LA scene, racism is a massive, massive part of the industry. It just is. Okay. And in a lot of these old school promoters' minds, it's a selling point. So the idea of them like trying to not stoke up those flames, it doesn't equate to them. It increases profit margins in their mind. So that's why you have Top Rank from decades and decades ago pushing Mexico versus Puerto Rico, when historically there's no such rivalry between those two countries in any way. It was started in boxing. It was started by promoters like Bob Arum. Like, we really have to fundamentally understand that and start critically analyzing and critiquing the people that control this industry. Okay. And hopefully Terence Crawford can finally have some economic freedom in this industry, because it feels like for a long time we've talked about it, that his career has stagnated. And we all knew it was Top Rank, or at least those of us that really understand the industry. We all knew it was Top Rank that was stagnating that career. Yes, Terence Crawford isn't the best self-promoter, but that's not really his job. It's the promoter's job to promote him. And at no point has Top Rank actually tried to promote Terence Crawford.
Not even. They got 3 stars over there, right? They got Lomachenko, they have Fury, and they have Crawford. Be honest with yourself. Have they promoted Crawford like they promoted the other two? Just be honest with yourself. The answer is obviously not.
And it's unfortunate, because Crawford is potentially the best guy in one of the money-weight divisions. And like I said, Crawford could be in a position like Earl Spence is, where, yeah, he's not the Mayweather or Pacquiao in terms of stardom, but he's holding the fort down for the division. He's making big fights, big enough to be, moderate successes on pay-per-view. Crawford has always been handicapped, cut at the knees at every point.
What was alarming was that the Porter fight didn't even have to go to purse bids. They just agreed. They just made a deal. right? Which tells me that you can make other deals. Which tells me, why didn't you? Right? You made, well, I guess Fury Wilder, there was a rematch clause already in place. But you just made Crawford Porter. You got both guys to sit down and agree. Right? So why can't you do that with other fights? The answer is you probably can, but they didn't have any interest in making Crawford fights. You know, when Crawford deals up, he said, Bob Arum said, I want to promote Crawford fights. I don't want to be Crawford's promoter. He said, I don't want to, lose a house in Malibu promoting Crawford fights. It's like, guy, he's one of the best fighters in the world. Like, there's a lot. And like, people can look at Terence Crawford and say, okay, he's a millionaire. What's he crying about? Well, he may have, allegedly, let's see the facts about it. His promoter may have cost him millions.
And the reason why is because Bob Arum is racist in how he promotes black fighters versus non-black fighters. And I think we as a community need to keep pushing on that point. Like, these two things aren't separate. Top Rank stagnating Crawford's career, Top Rank undermining Crawford, Top Rank squashing the Pacquiao fight, okay, is directly connected to Bob Arum, guys like Bruce Trampler, okay, and other people in that company that are racist, that view this sport and view the athletes in the sport, the people that really produced and continue to produce what this industry is. Without fighters, it's nothing. Like, honestly, like, if there's no fighters in boxing, there's no boxing. We can change out how we structure the sport and how promoters work and managers work. We can change that completely. And boxing can still function as long as we have boxers, right? Like, they are the glue to everything. That's just the reality. And they view fighters in this really archaic, like, mid-20th century, almost eugenist way of thinking. That we could pit this group of fighters from this ethnicity, this race against this one. And we're going to sell it based off of that. It's disgusting. Like, it really is. Like, think about fucking Inoue. They put fucking Mortal Kombat characters in his poster. Like, why? Because that's all they know. They know how to. They know how to, like.
It's just like so ridiculous.
Like, they know how to make these fighters caricatures of their cultures, of their nationalities, of their ethnicities, of their race. They don't know how to actually sell these fighters to their natural market. And that's a very different thing. Because you can be respectful and sell Terence Crawford to the black community, now Inoue to the Japanese community, without being stereotypical and making them into these caricatures of their cultures. Like, it's just ridiculous. And Bob Arum doesn't know how to do that because he comes from a fucking archaic time of boxing. When the mob ran shit, it was a racketeering business. It still is. And when things like the civil rights movement didn't even like come to fruition. Like, that's how old Bob Arum is. He comes from a pre-civil rights era in boxing. Like, we have to be real honest about what this shit is. Anyways,
Bob Arum just turned 90, by the way. Like, Bob Arum has been at this, I think he said 57 or 50. He's been in this forever. And Matt's like, he come from a time where you matched fighters, you pitted this race against that race, and it was kind of acceptable, right? Like, it Gangs of New York style, right? Like, it's kind of just the way it is. Like,
a decade before, like, Bob Arum really enters the scene, because Bob Arum kind of entered the scene, I want to say, like, the mid to late 50s. A decade before that, you have, like, Joe Louis, Max Schmeling as, like, the biggest fights of the century, right? Where it pit a black fighter versus a white guy from Nazi Germany. And, like, that racial tension was the massive selling point. Like, it's mind-boggling to think that a guy from that era that grew up in that sort of environment of promoting, that environment of the country as well, like social norms of that time, and think that he can promote in 2022 and promote black fighters and Latino fighters properly. He can't. He can't. Bob Arum is just so greedy that he promotes Latino fighters more because he thinks he can make more money off of them.
Right.
Which is,
he thinks they have a bigger natural fan base.
Yes. If anyone wants to understand that era of boxing, Gerald Horne wrote a fantastic book on that era of boxing. I think it's called Gerald Horne. What's it called? Boxing, Racketeering, and the Mob. I think it's the name of the book. Fantastic book. Recommend if you're a boxing fan, read it. You understand how the business and how like nasty the business was at that time. And also maybe understand how that can carry over even 60, 70, 80 years later. And how the remnants of that structure still hold on today in a lot of ways. But digressing.
So why would Terence Crawford resign with them and not sign with PBC? It's a real question.
That's a big question. It is. And I think it's a legitimate one. I don't think we have an answer to it right now.
The facts will come out.
If I had to assume, that was pushed by the manager because the manager heard something or was told something from the top rank. He was promised something in a verbal conversation, and then they signed, and then that verbal conversation never came to fruition. That's my assumption. That they were in a meeting, and it was Bomac, or I think doesn't Peter Kahn also manage Terence Crawford?
Does he? I don't know.
But I know Bomac is also one of his managers or his manager. And Bob Arum or Todd Buff or whatever told Bomac, "Hey, we're gonna get you this fight, and that just didn't happen. I don't know. I think it's hard to defend that, even if you're Terence Crawford, like personally right now. Like I don't know why he would do that. Because I don't think he personally, when he re-signed that, didn't think this right now. I think at that time he thought Bob Arum was racist and that they're undercutting my career. Why did he resign? I don't know. But I don't think from that point to today, he magically had an epiphany. You know what I mean? Like he must have thought that going in. Manager kind of pushed the signing through because he thought, hey, we're going to get this big fight, get this money. And that big fight didn't happen. Whether it's Spence, whether it's Pacquiao again, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. It doesn't make sense. I mean, largely speaking, it doesn't. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. The guess is that the fight was Pacquiao.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's the guess at the time, which is, at that time, it was still a bigger payday, a much bigger payday than Spence was at the time that he resigned. So my guess is it's that fight. And then he has promotion saying, I killed the fight. Well, I signed with you to get that fight. And you killed the fight?
It's similar to how, of course, not a one-to-one analog in any way, but like the whole Canelo, DAZN, Golden Boy, and the promise of Triple G, right? And how when that didn't come to fruition, it blew up that whole relationship in a way, right? Of course, then Canelo ended up still working with DAZN, but without Golden Boy, right? That promise by Golden Boy to DAZN of, hey, we'll get Canelo Triple G 3 for DAZN. That never happened. So that blew up the deal, blew up the relationship. I think in a similar way here, that Pacquiao fight, and maybe even the Spence fight too, was promised. Whether verbally, in writing, I don't know. And it didn't happen. And Bob Arum's on record, on video, caught in 4K, saying, I killed the fight.
This is going to be interesting because, what happens here, the Top Rank is going to want to keep this quiet, right? Because they have Duke Reagan, they just signed. They have Keyshawn Davis, they just signed. Like, they have Jahai Tucker from New York, who they signed. They have Bruce Harrington, they just signed. They're going to want to keep this quiet. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're going to want to make this go away as quickly as possible.
It's going to be interesting to see because I don't know post Arum what Top Rank is going to look like. I think there's enough toxic people in that company that's not going to magically become better. But I don't know if it's going to have the same legs under it. I think a lot of people sign a Top Rank because of the cachet of Bob Arum. I'll be honest. He's a guy that fucking promoted Muhammad Ali. Like if you're a young fighter, like that still has a cachet to it. It's not like Don King, where Don King doesn't promote big fights anymore. Bob Arum still promotes big fights. So like that legacy is far more sustained in a way within the industry in terms of making big fights, making big fighters, than a guy like Don King, who had a huge decline and fall off in his career. But anyways, Gary, any last thoughts on Crawford versus Arum?
No, again, we all, everyone listening to this show has heard talks that Top Rank has that kind of issue, and let the facts come out, and yep. we can go from there.
Moving on to the next big story of the week or of the month. DAZN UK buying BT Sports, getting some rights to Premier League, a bunch of big time sporting assets. I think the deal is worth over $800 million. I think
it's $800 million. I was surprised how it said that BT only has about 5 million viewers.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Really? I was surprised it was so little. I thought it was going to be 2 to 3 times that. So it's in UK and Ireland. How many people in UK and Ireland? 70 million people? Only less than 10% of them have BT? I guess. Yeah, I was surprised it was that small.
Yeah, it's I want to say BT is also a little more like it's expensive. Like
okay.
But so is Sky. Like Sky, the whole Sky package is real expensive in my opinion.
Yeah. If you're in our group chat, Rob complains about it
all the time, and I understand because it sounds really expensive and not worth the price. Nigel in the chat saying BT Sports is shit. Yeah, I mean it is shit in a sense that like it's relatively expensive for not a ton of content compared to Sky. However, BT Sports has a lot of smart acquisitions. Like they have certain rights to certain Premier League games, certain rights to certain Premier League teams. That type of stuff is going to equal more for DAZN UK, obviously, than what they had before. Like this is a huge buy for DAZN. I would have to almost say that this would be like DAZN buying. Would Fox Sports work? Would that be? But like, again, I know that they have like they're in like 70 million homes. I understand that, right? But you don't pay for Fox Sports. It comes
right.
That's the difference, right? Like, if Fox Sports had a price tag to it,
so like HBO or Showtime.
Yes. Okay, maybe let's do that.
Yeah.
But the difference is that HBO and Showtime don't have the sporting rights that like a Fox Sports kind of has.
Right.
Right. We're like, obviously, all the big games you're going to see are going to be on NBC, Fox, ABC.
It is a different dynamic where, most like ESPN and Fox Sports kind of have a chokehold on sports in America, right? Like the two companies kind of own all the sport,
Yes, exactly. Except for the major games you get for like NFL stuff like that, you go and watch on, NBC, Fox, ABC, stuff like that, CBS.
Monday Night Football is on ESPN. The national championship game, ESPN, right? Like you have
in my mind, ESPN is the Sky Sports. Right. So BT Sport, more like a Fox Sports, where it has a lot of
Sports with a price tag. Which why would you buy it then? It's the secondary thing. It comes with a hefty price tag. Yeah, exactly. A lot of people, hardcores will buy it, but the rest of the people won't. Right? Like if you're a sports fan and you have Showtime, you have it for boxing, right? Like there's nothing on Showtime anymore. There's absolutely nothing. Not to disrespect Showtime. There's nothing on it that you want to watch.
No.
Right? And now they barely have boxes. It's like, why do I have this? Why don't I just pick it up 3 times a year that you actually show boxing? There's nothing on. Nurse Jackie's not on anymore. Okay, there's nothing on Showtime.
This would be like DAZN acquiring maybe a Fox Sports or like an HBO when HBO had like a lot of boxing on. Like it would be something like that where like it acquired something that had a built-in fan base, a built-in sports asset package that they can automatically attract more mainstream sporting fans. It's a big get for them. It really is. I also think that it just kind of further shows that DAZN as a whole has completely shifted away from the U.S. market because it wasn't successful in the U.S. market.
Yeah, you said it was the death of the zone in the U.S. I don't think so. I think that's not its primary goal. I don't think it's going to go away.
But let's be honest, Gary, circa 2018, when there wasn't a DAZN UK, it felt like DAZN was going to attack the U.S. market and try to take it over. Like that.
Yeah,
That's what they
we
were
said
saying.
at that time, as Americans, knowing this market, that was a bad idea. It wasn't going to work unless you could get college football.
I
Right?
think. I think in the last, let's say, year and a half, DAZN as an entity has realized that, though. It took them a while. It took them a year or two to go, oh, this market we can't crack. Okay, let's shift to Italy. Let's shift to Spain. Let's shift to, UK. Let's open up the UK now because we're a UK-based company. Duh. It just made perfect sense. And I don't blame DAZN for this. But I did say in the group chat that's the death of DAZN US because it's going to all the major acquisitions, the amount of capital that takes for these major acquisitions is not going to be allocated to the DAZN US market. It's going to be allocated to the DAZN UK, DAZN Spain, DAZN Germany, DAZN Italy, DAZN Japan, because those are more lucrative markets that they're actually gaining a massive foothold in. Like if this deal goes through, did it go through officially?
No,
it hasn't gone through officially. But if it does go through, DAZN is a massive player in the UK market now, like 100%. They were never going to do that in the US. And they now know that. And credit to them for finally realizing it. I could have told them in 2018.
Apparently in 2019, fiscal year 2019, they lost $2 billion. Apparently, allegedly. That's what their records show. That's hard to believe that they really lost $2 billion. But, that's an expensive lesson learned, is what that was the point. I don't actually believe they lost $2 billion. I don't actually believe that, but I'm sure they lost a nice chunk of change. I'm sure that's crafty accounting right there to come up with $2 billion you lost.
Wait, DAZN and their filing
fiscal reports in 2019 so they lost $2 billion, but Blabnik made $7 billion in Warner Music.
Yeah, because Warner Music.
He used that, but no businessman would do that. No businessman was like, I lost $2 billion here, so let me take the $7 billion and move the money over there. He would just get rid of that thing. I'm sure they did lose money though, but it wasn't $2 billion. This is my point.
The only businessmen that do it as a money laundering.
Yeah.
They don't care about the loss because
right.
The way they do the loss is actually to clean the money. So, if I'm guessing here, Blabnik, who is, of course, a very reputable man from Eastern Europe that profited off of the collapse of the Soviet Union and impoverished millions of people. Great guy, Blabnik. But anyways, digressing. Yeah, I think he'll take that loss and keep DAZN running. Absolutely. Blabnik is one of the most notorious billionaires in the world right now. He would. Absolutely. Niger saying it's a 1.4 billion loss in 2019. I don't think that's much better.
The article I sent you said too. She could be right. Whatever. Yeah.
Oh my God. Gary. What do we think about DAZN US? Like what? It has some Golden Boy cards, some match events.
I think that's. I don't think it's going to ever be what they thought it was going to be. They have the boxing hardcores. They have boxing fans. I think that it's going to be a boxing app, right? And they're going to over time increase the price of it, and we're going to keep it. So I think it's just going to tread water for a while. Like they're not going to dump a ton of money into it, and it's not really going to go away. Just kind of like boxing. Boxing's not going to get bigger, and it's not going to die, right? So it's just going to start tread water for a while.
I think a lot of hardcores are going to jump ship. I'll be honest. In today's age, it is so easy to just stream. I'm not paying for DAZN anymore. I don't need to. They have maybe a show a month. It feels like. I can just go on a stream and find that shit in HD quality too. And guess what? There's no way DAZN with their anti-piracy system is better than these major pay-per-view cards that I'm able to get too. Because they try to crack down on that shit for a major pay-per-view card. And I still can find an HD 1080p stream.
Facebook doesn't let you post those links anymore. My boy Chris Noble from Die Hard Boxing, in his Facebook group, I was like, "Can I post a link? I want to ask you because it's your group." He's like, "Go ahead." So I post a link and they kick it back to me. They said it can't be posted. Like, yeah.
So good, so good.
I thought Facebook was supposed to be a people's medium. Right? That's supposed to be the people's, and this is what you're doing.
Yeah. Okay. Mark Zuckerberg, a man of the people. The guy that has been rapidly and maliciously buying up indigenous land in Hawaii and kicking off people from their neighborhoods. Yes, that guy, a man of the people. Do you think they're selling real estate in the metaverse for like millions of dollars right now?
I don't even know. In the metaverse?
Well, you know, Facebook is rebranded as the metaverse, right?
Yeah. Okay. I see.
But it's meta, right? And then you have the metaverse, which is like this artificial universe. I don't know. I don't have Facebook, so I don't give a fuck. But they're selling real estate in this virtual reality world of the metaverse for millions and millions of dollars. That's a man of the people, Gary. Man of the people. So good. But anyways, not just saying not anything that affects company bottom line will get blocked on Facebook, but it doesn't affect Facebook's bottom line. That's the point I think Gary's trying to bring up. Like it doesn't affect Facebook's bottom line at all to post an illegal stream link for a PBC on Fox pay-per-view. There's no way it affects Facebook's bottom line at all.
But then usually, like, if you put up there, a lot of times it'd be up there for a while, then it would get taken out. They just kick it right back to you. Facebook. Isn't that what you got kicked off Facebook for? Was posting streams? No.
It's even worse because it makes even less sense what I did. Facebook owns Instagram, right?
Yeah.
When you post stuff on Instagram, you have that option to like also share to your Facebook profile, right?
Yeah.
So back at the old Mixed Combat Radio Instagram page, which had like a few thousand followers, I would post like videos, like highlight videos or like videos of like knockouts that happened that night, and I would just repost off repost apps from like Top Rank, Golden Boy, whatever, fight footage, right? Basically, and Facebook started really cracking down on that, and they would flag my videos for copyright infringement. Instagram will allow them to go up, though. Owned by the same company. Okay. So eventually, I did it too many times, and I didn't care because in my mind, it's still going through on Instagram, and it's getting backed by Facebook. It's the same company. I don't have to worry about getting blocked or anything like that. It blocked my Facebook account, and I can no longer make a Facebook account at all. It will not let me.
You just got to get a VPN, and then you could.
Yeah, but like I don't care enough.
Yeah, no, it's Facebook. It's for old people anyway. Right?
Exactly. If it was Twitter, maybe I'd care a little more.
Twitter is for arguing with people you don't know, and Instagram is for stalking people online.
Yes. Yes, that's what
Instagram exists so that 20-year-old college kids can get pictures of girls in bikinis. That's why it exists.
that is true. Yes. I've recently been on TikTok. I'm trying that out, and surprising. I'm not opposed to it. I've just been posting like old videos that I posted on Instagram, like old political videos, right? And like on Instagram, they get like 30, 40, 50 views. On TikTok, I'm getting like 50,000 views on these videos. Like TikTok is they're pushing shit. But I'll be honest, the amount of times I get stuff pushed back for wild ass shit, like it'd be a video of like Malcolm X talking, right? And it would flag me for music, for copyrighted music. It's just Malcolm X talking. What copyrighted music? TikTok, please. And there's no appeal process for that. It's crazy. But other than that, yeah. Shout out to companies, tech companies. Bunch of bullshit. Anyways, Gary, what else do you want to talk about? Boxing. Because it's kind of just a fun show today. We're not going to be, super serious.
I mean, I sent over
a lot. I know you sent over a lot. Hold on, let me pull it up.
I sent over I mean, there were a ton of topics.
A ton.
A ton.
Okay, let's go down the list. Okay. Eddie Hearn has stated that he's been told Tony Yoko does not want to accept the fight of Filip Hrgović as an IBF eliminator, and so they start speaking to Top Rank to make it happen per IFL. Oh, sorry, Tony Yoko does want to accept the fight
Right.
with Filip Hrgović, who allegedly has not been able to get a fight. Everyone's ducking him. I just think it's Filip Hrgović, and nobody gives a fuck about him, so no one wants to fight him because
if this is the case, and this is your final eliminator, the IBF doesn't need to be a sanctioning body anymore. I'm sure no one cares about you. You're irrelevant. Let's just don't recognize it as a. This is the one that gives you the worst mandatories. This is to give you the Fegan boots and the Carlos Ocampos, right, as mandatories, and no one wants to fight for your belt. So just don't recognize them. Ignore them.
When Tony Yoko beats up Hrgović and then beats up Usyk, you won't say that anymore. The French Nightmare himself, nuh-uh. It's a wrap, dude. It's a wrap. Okay, he's more muscular than AJ. Like, it's done. It's finito. Sorry. What else do we have? I do love this. Charlo Castano rematch reset for March 19th, likely in LA. Yes. I'll probably try to get credentials for that one.
Yeah, if I'm Castano, why would I go to Houston to go fight Charlo when they just robbed me in San Antonio? I was 3 hours away from his home. Now I'm in his home.
Was that a robbery?
No.
That wasn't a robbery.
I don't think so. Most people thought Castano won. I thought either 7-5 Castano or 6-6. I thought it was close. But most people thought Castano, like 70% of people on their poll at the fight thought Castano won the fight. So in Castano's head, it's a robbery. And one of the cards, does anyone have one of the cards really bad? One was like 117, 111 Charlo.
Yeah, I think so.
The best you can do for that fight really is give Charlo a draw. Charlo he was like broning. He wouldn't throw punches for a while. And then he rallied late. And I'm into that fight. I'm picking Charlo to win the rematch. I picked Castano to win the first fight. After watching the first fight, I'm picking Charlo to win the rematch. But there's no way Charlo won. You can get a draw. You can get 6. There's no 7 that you can give Charlo. Charlo didn't win that fight.
I have to go back and watch it. It was a good fight, though. I remember liking
the rematch is going to be good, too.
Yeah, it is. Castano could win it. I just think that he has to be a little more active towards the body. He didn't throw nearly enough to the body from what I remember. I thought he was headhunting a lot in that fight.
I thought both guys could do it. It was a good fight, but I thought both guys could have executed a lot better than they did. So I'm expecting the second fight to be even better.
You know what's interesting? I kind of I might view in the same way as you that like Charlo should be able to win the rematch, and why I'm basing that or why I'm viewing it that way is because Charlo looks better in rematches. Like in the Tony Harrison fight, first fight he looked real tense, didn't really execute like he wanted to. Second fight he executed like he wanted to, threw the right power shots and got him out of there. I think both guys were pretty tense in the fight, Charlo and Castano. I think both guys should be able to execute better in the rematch. For example, the Tony Harrison, Charlo. Tony Harrison was executing a lot better in the rematch as well. He just ended up losing. He wasn't landing the power shots enough. Castano, is he going to be able to really handle the firepower of Charlo? I don't know. And vice versa, can Charlo be able to handle the volume and pressure of Castano? Cannot wait to see. One of the better fights we had was last year. Yeah, last year. And can't wait to see the rematch. Jaime Munguia versus Demetrius Ballard set for February 19th. Your boy fighting an absolute bum. Virgil Ortiz fighting Michael Mickelson on
Henson. Why is that a bum though? Why? Because he's a. I don't get the fight. It doesn't make any sense. It's a step backwards. It's obviously a stay busy fight. I would have liked Chris Algier, but too bad they gave him to Conor Ben first, Nigel Ben Jr. Why is McKinson a bum?
Who does he beat?
Well, nobody. He's a prospect. I don't understand the fight. I don't understand the fight for either guy. That doesn't make him a bum. The fight makes 0 sense. 0 for either guy. So McKinson's going to get destroyed on his way up. Right? McKinson's got no power. None. He's got. Can you pull up his boxer? How many knockouts he got? Like 2 in 21 wins? So
yes,
Versus
yes, exactly. 2 knockouts.
So Versus is going to go in there and destroy him. But what does that do for Virgil? He's already beaten a former world champion Hooker. He's beaten world title challengers in Orozco and Mean Machine. Like, this fight makes zero sense for either guy. It doesn't get if Virgil Ortiz blows him out in 2 rounds. Does that get him the Terence Crawford fight? No, nobody cares. He beat Michael McKinson.
First off, before I address your ridiculous points, Gary, Jonas in the chat is saying that you have 2 posters of Argentinians in your house, Che and Madonna, right there. First off, it's not my house; it's my girlfriend's house. Secondly, and he said, and you dare saying Castano wasn't robbed. I'm sorry. I don't think Castano was robbed. I thought you can definitely, like Gary, make an argument that he won the fight. I thought it was either a draw or I think I could have given Charlo 7 rounds. I have to go back and watch it. It's been a while, guys. But shout out to my Argentines. Shout out to them. Digressing though, Gary. This is an atrocious fight. First off, Chris Algieri is also an atrocious fight for Virgil Ortiz. Like, even that's bad. Like, that's not acceptable in my opinion.
And an Argentine.
Is Chris Algieri Argentinian?
I think he's like Ginobili, like he's Italian, and his family went to Argentina.
Really?
I think so. Yeah, he always wears an Argentina soccer jersey.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that he's Italian and his family, like, because up until the 60s, there were more Italians living in Argentina than there was America. And then Argentinian, Matt probably was economy collapsed, it was gold that dried up, and then they moved to America or back to Italy or Germany and other places.
Yeah, the whole Operation Condor that like destroyed Argentina too. But anyways, digressing, yes. No, Chris Algieri is an awful fight for Virgil Ortiz. Michael Mickelson is an awful fight for
Virgil
if it
was
Ortiz.
Before the Conor benefit, they would have gave Algieri to Virgil instead of Conor. Is it a terrible fight?
Yes.
I don't think so. Why is that a terrible fight?
Gary.
I'm not saying it's a great fight.
Ortiz has fought a title contender already. He's fought former world champion already.
Algieri is a former world champion.
Yes, Gary. But guess what? He's moved past that. He's beat Maurice Hooker. He's beat former title contenders. He's moved past that already. Fight guys in the top 5, top 10. It's not that hard. It's not that hard.
As a stay busy fight where you got Crawford waiting in the wings, like, again, Michael McKinson doesn't make any sense. You should fight someone more established than Michael McKinson. I agree. But, like, you want him to go fight who in the interim and a stay busy fight when he's waiting for Crawford? Like, realistically, who do you want him to fight?
Gary, I only accept stay busy fights when they're like 2 or 3 months after a fight. Like, you have a tough fight 2 or 3 months after, stay busy fight 2 or 3 months after that, no tough fight. Cool. It's been 7 months. It's gonna be 7 months since Ortiz last fought.
You're right. No, you're right.
Over half a year.
Yeah, you're right. It doesn't seem that long, but you're right. It was August.
Yeah.
Because me and Robert Garcia decided to go to the Josh Franco fight.
And Ortiz almost got his ass beat. Yes.
How many times he knocked Mean Machine down? 5 times?
I
think it was 5.
Am I not logged in? I'm logged in. Why is it not saying? It doesn't say.
I think he knocked him down 5 times. I think the final knockdown was the 5th.
I mean, they don't say any knockdowns, Gary.
No,
I mean, Boxer. I mean, telling you, Boxer's not saying any knockdowns, and it's not like they don't say any knockdowns for other fights. Like Brad Solomon says, he's knocked him down like in the 4th round, twice in the 5th, blah blah. But for Kavlauskas, no knockdowns. Maybe you're mistaking it.
Maybe I'm mistaken. Because somebody fact checked me. Tell me if I'm right or wrong. There were 5 knockdowns enough. He knocked him down 5 times.
Hey, BoxRec is just the truth, man. I'm sorry, it's the Bible. They have Chris Eubank as the #1 middleweight in the world, so we have to believe BoxRec, guys. I'm sorry.
Jeff Horner has the go.
Oh, so good. Virgil Ortiz has moved past this. This is not a stay busy fight. He's fighting twice a year, if that. Like you've moved to that territory now.
Well, what if he fights McKinson in March, and then he fights again in July, and then he fights again at the end of the year? That's 3 fights.
It would still be unacceptable to have this one. He's not Canelo. He's not out there fighting.
I'm not justifying this fight. The fight makes no sense, man. I'm agreeing with you. I just don't think McKinson's a bum. I think he's an untested prospect.
He's a guy that has 2 knockouts out of 20 wins.
Yeah, he's not going to be a world champion. You can't win in this division with no power.
Gary, can you name me one guy he beat? Off the top of your head.
Not off the top of my head, no. I know he's been on a bunch of cards and stuff.
Yeah, I know who he is. We've all seen him fight.
No, I can't name anyone he's beat off the top of my head.
No.
I don't know if I can name anyone. If I pull up his box rec, I don't think I can. Let me see.
There's some guys you might recognize. But there are going to be other UK prospects that like are completely non-proven commodities in this industry.
Yeah, this is I mean, no, he hadn't beat anybody. Yeah,
Ortiz should be able to knock him out within 4 rounds.
Oh, he beat Ryan Martin back. Yep, he beat Ryan. No, that's different Ryan Martin. Never mind. Yeah, he hadn't beat anybody.
Different Ryan Martin.
Because he fought him when they were like 4-0. So just look at it could be the same Ryan Martin. He beat him on the way up. But that wouldn't make any sense.
Gary, like this is such a massive step back. Chris Algieri would be just a sidestep at best.
Well, and that's what you're looking for at this point. Is a sidestep.
No, you're not looking. You're not looking for a sidestep.
All right, so play promoter for a second. Play promoter. Who would you put him in the ring with?
Well, let me pull up the fucking box rec ratings for the welterweight division. Okay, it's been a minute since I did a show. Relax.
Kell Brook and Conor fighting each other, so take him off the table.
I
would like one of those guys.
All right. Fuck, it's hard because he's fucking golden boy. That's the one issue. Like people that scream out to me as like, okay, it would be a good fight. Abel Ramos. That make perfect sense.
But he's taken. He's off the board. He's fighting on the third card.
He is, but I mean, not even beside that, he's with Heyman and Ortiz is with Golden Boy. Like they just don't do business together.
If he fought Josh Kelly, would that be better? It would be better, right? Because at least it's a proven guy. I mean, he's not good, but he's been in tough.
I mean, he's proven to be awful.
Evan Easton is a fight I wanted, but they didn't want that fight. Morangan, his manager turned it down and said, no, they don't want to go that route. They want to go the WBO route, not WBA route. But Evan Easton is a good fighter. Honestly, he might be the best fighter on your resume, all things considered.
Curtis Clayton.
Curtis Clayton's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
You know,
he's not signed with PBC. He just fights on PBC cards, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a guy. Curtis Clayton's a good one.
Fuck, Cody Crowley just picked up a big win.
Yeah, what about Cody Crowley?
I mean, he's better than fucking Michael Mickelson.
Oh, those guys. Michael Fox would be decent. Like that's.
Yeah. You know, look, this is maybe a little bit of a sidestep, like Omar Figueroa. You know, guys of that status. I think he's better.
Don't do that to Omar. Don't do that to my boy Omar. Omar's not in life shape to fight a killer like Virgil Ortiz. Don't do that to him.
You know what?
You see what Abel Ramos did to him? Abel Ramos destroyed him.
Yeah, it was amazing. Evan Easton would be a good fight, but like you said, his manager didn't want that.
Which made no sense to me. It seemed like a good fight. It seemed like a good fight. Again, might be the best opponent on your resume. It's a fight you should win. Evan Easton has a ton of holes defensively. He's a good fighter, but he got a ton of holes defensively. You should be able to knock him out. It's gonna be a good test. Like it seemed like a good fight.
What about Butiev, who just beat Jamal James?
Yeah.
You know, like there are guys in that top 15 range that would present really intriguing matchups that would get him ready for the top. Michael Mickelson does nothing to get him prepared for Terence Crawford. Nothing.
No, I don't understand that fight either. It makes no sense. Like that, if you would have gave me 50 names, I wouldn't have said McKinson. Like it doesn't make any sense to me. It makes zero sense to me.
Gary, let me go back to the list. See what else we have. DAZN announced the whole lineup between March and February. Well, Daniel Jacobs is going to be on that. Whoop-de fucking do. Andrade versus Janabek is scheduled for a first bid.
Gosh.
Yeah, I know. Spence versus Ugas is now approved by the WBA. Hopefully that happens. I'm excited for that fight. I think. I mean, Gary, you're an Ugas fanboy. You picking him?
Against Spence?
Yeah. I mean, Ugas does do very well against Southpaws. That's been like the sort of narrative I've seen in the community that, Ugas kind of fucks with Southpaws a lot. You pick Caleb Plant over Canelo, but you won't pick Ugas versus
But I
Spence?
didn't actually think Plant was going to win, right? And Spence is my boy. Spence is a Dallas guy.
Yeah.
I don't want to pick against Spence, man.
Man. No, I pick Spence too. But that's a fun fight.
I don't know. Spence hasn't fought much. Ugas is fighting top fighters. Like, I don't know that Spence is going to win. I'm not going to pick against him. Right? Like, when we do a show when Thurman fights Barrios, I know Barrios personally, so I'm going to recuse myself. Like a judge, I can't rule on this. I'm too close with the guy. So I'm just going to take myself out because I'm not going to pick against Barrios because that's my boy. So I'm just going to recuse. I'm going to recuse myself. I don't know Spence as well as I know Barrios. I'm just going to recuse myself. I'm not picking. I'm too close to it.
I think if you say that Ugas has been fighting top competition, then clearly Spence has too. So,
but he hasn't been fighting at all, though. You know what I'm saying? Spence hasn't. He's fighting once every year and a half. And I'm not saying it's his fault. He got a car accident. His retina got the time. I'm not saying it's his fault. I'm just saying he hasn't been active.
When was the Danny fight? Late 2020? Yeah, it was late 2020.
It was during the pandemic, right? Because there was no fans there. But
I mean, pandemic is still happening, Gary. So yes.
But it was when there were no fans there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, there was fans there, wasn't there?
Was there? I don't think so. Was there like a small capacity, like 5,000 fans or something like that? It was December 2020. So he fought in Errol Spence. Okay, it wasn't that long ago. It was December 2020, and that was after.
He just didn't fight all last year. That's all.
Yeah. Okay. He fought in September of 2019 against Porter. Took off 15 months, fought Garcia, and now he's been off another 13 months.
Which he had the detached.
I'm not saying it's his fault. I'm not.
No. Yeah, I know. Yeah. I'm just reminding myself of the timeline here.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think even with that, Spence should be able to beat Ugas. Like, Ugas is a guy that, he beat Pacquiao, but he was a lot bigger than Pacquiao. Pacquiao's a lot older, not in his prime. There's a lot of X factors in that fight. When Ugas was facing another guy that was sort of his contemporary in Sean Porter, it was a very, very close fight. And Sean Porter won it. I know you thought Ugas won. No, others thought Ugas won. But that was a very, very close fight. I think
I was talking to Abel Ramos, and Abel Ramos fought everyone on the way up. He fought Baranchek, he fought Hooker, he fought Regis Prograis, and then he said fought Ugas. He said Ugas was the hardest guy by far. He said Ugas looks like he should be easy to hit, but he's so good on the inside you can't really hit him. Like, he's elusive and makes you miss. Like, standing in front of you, he just sits there and he makes you miss. It's like, why can't I hit this guy?
True. I mean, I think I mentioned that in the Pacquiao fight when we were talking about that and analyzing that after the fight, that Ugas' ability to block and sort of roll with shots and very subtle movements is very impressive. I don't think it gets enough credit as it should, because I think people just see him as like this, and I do at times. I think I misanalyze his fight style as sort of a plotter, as a guy that comes forward, keeps his hands high, and looks just to mount up physical aggression, so to speak. But he's far more savvy on the inside than I think a lot of people, including myself, gave him credit for. What else on the docket? Triple G, Murata, rescheduled for March, April. I think Triple G should win it. Murata's a real basic fighter.
Triple G's 40 years old. Keep that in mind. But I think Triple G should win. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun while it lasts. Yeah. I promise you that.
Absolutely. And Tyson Fury versus Dylan White purse bids pushed back for January 18th.
I think this is gonna happen. Yeah. And Fury only fights once a year, so this will be his one fight. And then I don't know what happens to Fury after this. I have a feeling that we're not going to get Fury versus Joshua. Definitely not a fourth fight with Wilder, and I don't think we're going to get him with Usyk. It's just too erratic. Like, he's gonna fight White. I think this is gonna happen, and then he's just not gonna fight for 15 months. You know, like, and then the whole landscape has changed. Like, I've been a Fury fan, right? Like, I just he's been a champion for 4 years between his 2 reigns. He's made 1 title defense.
Legend. Hall of Famer.
Think about that. 4 years he's held some version of the world title. He's made 1 title defense.
And the only important fight of note in that time is Klitschko and Wilder. Everything else has been trash.
Well, yeah, it's just who else can you say that about? Like, 4 years you've made 1 title defense.
Gary
In the last 3 years, he's fought 1 person. That's not true. He fought. Well, those fights don't count. He fought.
They don't.
Otto
They
Bailey,
don't
and
count.
I don't even remember the other. What was the other guy's name?
Tom Schwartz.
Yeah, they don't count.
You had Safari. Remember Safari?
Now, I'm saying since like December 2018 was the Wilder fight, so 3 years from there, he's fought just. I know he fought Schwartz and.
He's the lineal champ, Gary.
Those guys don't count.
It's not just 4 years. This shit goes back since what, 2015. When was the Klitschko fight?
2015. That's 7 years ago now.
7 years.
7 years.
He's a 7-year lineal championship run. He's only beat 1 guy of note.
Honestly, I hope White knocks him out because at least White will fight everybody. I kind of hope White knocks him out.
He won't.
Like when he fought Wilder, I didn't really have a against because I kind of like both guys. And then once Wilder rallied in the 4th round, I'm all in on Wilder. I want Wilder to win. I started cheering for Wilder in that fight. And I like Fury too, but like he doesn't fight anybody at all, really. So I kind of hope White knocks him out because if White wins, White will go fight Joshua Usyk next. Like he will, because that's White.
Gary, final thoughts. Let's get out of here. I should be back next week. Obviously feeling a lot better now, so hopefully we get back to that weekly schedule at least. So next week, Wednesday, Thursday.
Hopefully we have some more boxing news because this is like it's been a month and there's really not much to talk about. I know.
Expect me to do a political show in the next few days. Although I haven't done one in a month as well since I've been sick. So expect that as well over on Trending Now Network. I'm going to try to go live on TikTok more because I got monetized on TikTok. So I was thinking, like, why not? And the only way, and like the first step of monetization for TikTok, you can only get money through going live. And people will like give you what's called tokens. And those tokens can be interchanged for money. So I might go live a little bit on TikTok. So follow me, Matt Hunter, MCR, on TikTok, I guess. I've released a few promos for the next boxing card I'm working as general manager. So if you want to see some promo work for local fighters in LA, check out my either Instagram or TikTok to see those videos. What else? That's about it. Stay safe out there. Remember at all times, fuck the police and free Palestine. And yeah, Gary, final thoughts.
I don't really have any final thoughts. Like I said, there's not been much boxing to talk about in the last month. It's the off season. Yes. So if you want to do another show, talk about the Hawks trade, the Cam Reddish trade, we can chop that up. Ben Simmons still hasn't been traded. I don't know what Philly's going to do with him. Just going to pay him to not play? I don't know. Because Ben Simmons is not a star. He's a role player who makes star money. Ben Simmons is a good player. He can help a good team, but he doesn't make a bad team good.
Remember when like Harrison Barnes got that big ass contract after like Golden State won like the first championship in like 2014?
3-and-D guy. I like Harrison Barnes. He's a 3-and-D guy.
Dude, on 2K, Harrison Barnes was my guy, man. Harrison Barnes was sinking 3-pointers left and right on 2K. At the time, Gary, I was like, dude, give Harrison Barnes all the money. Give him all the money. It makes sense. He's doing great on my 2K team.
What's crazy is like Klay Thompson's back. Klay Thompson basically has the same role as Harrison Barnes, Danny Green, Robert Covington, right? Like guys like that. Except he's so incredibly good at it, right? Like he's made a Hall of Fame career of basically being a 3-and-D guy. It's really incredible. Like if you said Klay Thompson is one of the should have been on that list for sure. The 75 greatest players. That's a travesty that he wasn't, right? He should be able to have 50. What is he's a 3-and-D guy? Yeah. Does he create his own shot? Not really. He comes off screens, but he's so incredibly good at it.
Dude, I can't wait for like 20 years from now, Gary, when we have like a documentary about like that era of basketball where like the 3-point shot and the Warriors like changed everything. I honestly like, because maybe like that was the first time like I lived through like a massive shift in basketball, right? Because like I grew up in the Laker Kobe era. So like in my mind, that era was the same as the Jordan era. Like there was a direct continuation of the style of play, the type of play, right? Like the way free agents moved, it was very similar. And then like all of a sudden it was like, nah, we're going to hire all these veteran players for like $3 million and they're going to shoot threes. J.R. Smith is going to have like another 5 years of career because he can shoot a 3-pointer. Like that's just how it's going to work, guys. I cannot wait for the ESPN documentary, the 30 for 30. Cannot wait.
Everyone. When I saw Karl Anthony Towns spot up for a corner 3. I see Karl Anthony, he's about 6'10", 270. Spot up for a corner. I'm like, wow, the game has changed. The game has changed.
I love it. I love it. Anyways, hit the like button, share the show, all that fun stuff. Patreon.com/Trending Now Network. Follow Gary also on Texas Boxing Scene on YouTube. All proceeds go towards autism awareness. So please go support. Please subscribe. Please like the videos. Please watch them. It's very, very important and near and dear to Gary's heart and my heart. So please do that. What else? Oh, book recommendation before we get out of here. Walter Rodney, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. Fantastic book. Recommend it as well if you want to check out a non-boxing book. So I recommended a boxing book later. That's it. Gary, peace, man.
Good show.